What is groove metal? Pantera is the first band that comes to mind, but many other popular metal bands, such as Slipknot, Lamb of God, and Meshuggah, have all experimented with the sound. So let's take a listen. The origins of groove metal are thrash metal, death metal, and hardcore punk. I am, once again, making up a genre name for convenience here, but there are some bands that I would describe as proto-groove metal. Metallica's album, And Justice for All, captures what I mean here. Now, on Ride the Lightning and on Master of Puppets, Metallica mixed thrash metal with prog metal. On And Justice for All, they carried this on, but with a few modifications. The album is infamous for its lack of bass, and the instrumentation is slower overall, being less thrashy and more mid-tempo. This really gives a full, rich sound to the guitar on this album, as it is much more prominent. Despite people's hatred of Lars's drumming, the drums also pack a punch on this album. Groove metal is also known for its syncopation, meaning everything is slightly offbeat, creating a groove. On And Justice for All, you can hear a bit of this. There are a lot of abrupt transitions. And tempo changes. It is definitely the odd one out of Metallica's discography in that regard. I know people argue that they did Jason dirty by making the bass so inaudible, but I actually really like the sound on this album. Meshuggah had a similar sound on their album Contradictions Collapse. It is interesting seeing the evolution of metal on display here. Thrash metal to groove metal, and later on to djent. Finally, for proto-groove metal, there is of course Prong, who arguably invented groove metal in its full form, along with alternative metal. Pantera has an interesting beginning. First, starting off as a glam metal band. Ride my rocket, let me out. Ride my rocket, make me twist and shout. Then making a Judas Priest-esque heavy metal record called Power Metal. It wasn't until cowboys from hell that they incorporated groove metal into their sound. However, the classic heavy metal sound is still present on this record. It wasn't until Vulgar Display of Power that they abandoned that influence. Vulgar Display of Power is quite possibly the first pure groove metal record, but I would argue that Far Beyond Driven is where they really made the style distinct from thrash metal and iconic as its own thing. On The Great Southern Trendkill, they experimented with sludge metal, and southern metal. It is probably their most intense record. Finally, on Reinventing the Steel, they went back to their straight-up groove metal sound. You've got to look to it. I know, this might be a controversial opinion, but to me, groove metal is the definitive metal genre. It seems to be a perfect middle ground between all other metal, somewhere between the speed of thrash and the slogging of doom metal, somewhere between the extremity of the underground and the accessibility of the mainstream. Groove metal gets a pretty bad rap, getting called mallcore and American metal. People think it's generic and soulless. I disagree. One band that is definitely not generic, soulless, or American for that matter is Sepultura. They are another band with an interesting genre history. They started off as a war metal band, of all things. Then became death thrash, then with their album Chaos AD, they combined groove metal with crust punk, and also a bit of tribal music. On Roots, they did the same, but with some nu metal mixed in, and more emphasis on the tribal elements. Machine Head started off as pure groove metal on their album Burn My Eyes. With the shotgun blast. They experimented with rap metal and nu metal. I am that shadow, following every move, reminding you that it's never good enough, even though you'll try, I'm gonna call you. And then prog metal, thrash metal, and melodic metalcore on their later material. but they've always had some groove metal in their sound. Lamb of God also mixed groove metal with melodic metalcore. Slipknot is yet another band with an interesting history. Their first album was actually quite a bit funk metal. Their self-titled album, and Iowa, is where they really found their sound, that being groove metal, rap metal,
did you never give a damn in the first place? Maybe it's time you when the tables turn, cause in the interest of all involved, they got the problem solved, and the verdict is guilty. And the guilt lays all we have had to try, stop, drop, and roll. You were dead from the get-go.
and nu metal.
Come see my cage, built in my grave. Come see my cage, built in my grave.
In Volume 3, All Hope Is Gone and Beyond, they also threw alternative metal into the mix.
Don't always know where you stand, till you know that you won't run away.
I suppose I ought to mention the band Exhorder, as they are credited with inventing groove metal, though I think that is debatable. Their album Slaughter in the Vatican does indeed sound like Pantera, and quite possibly influenced their later material.
Cause of death was never confirmed. Did he really die?
However, this album came out after both Cowboys from Hell and Beg to Differ, and Exhorder's older demo mostly just sounds like Slayer to me. So I think it's more a case of different people coming up with similar ideas at the same time. Lyrically and thematically, groove metal is rebellion, much like the thrash, death metal, and punk which inspired it. However, it is more personal and in your face. It is standing your ground against the world. It is empowering music, and why I think it truly captures the essence of metal. Is it a bit simple? Yes, indeed. But that's why it works. It is similar to Death and Roll in that regard. I think it gets a bad rap because of its association with nu metal and metalcore, and also bands like Five Finger Death Punch.
I'm not selling out. I'm fighting in.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Or maybe it's because it seems like dumb caveman music. But maybe we need that. Maybe that big chungus caveman Chad energy is what we need to invigorate us to take on the world.